And we're off. So let's see what happens. Let me know when you all can hear me. Starting just a tad early. Twitch sent up a notice that they were having issues. Who knew? With live streaming because, oh, thank you. Probably because of everything that is going on. So good. I'm glad we can hear. And welcome. So yeah, 2 live streams in a week. Looks like it might rain, though it's not supposed to. Be kind of cool if we had a thunderstorm right about now. Hopefully not the kind that would take our power away. But hey, we'll have to see. So look, it's Friday. I hope everyone is doing well. The studio is still doing well. We've been fortunate so far, and hopefully that continues for us and for everyone else living now in Corona world. So lots to talk about today. Lots of good stuff. Let me get screen up. Make sure I've got everything I need ready to go because I got pulled away by something. And now I have to re-put it. There we go. And so that's set up. And now we can talk about some of this stuff. So first, for you, that's a small coffee. Yeah, compared Real Life Cabo to when I went to England for negotiation. No, sorry, that was the second time to work with Games Workshop on the initial vision and design for Warhammer. I think it was Costa Coffee. They had the biggest mug I'd ever seen. It was amazing. It was ginormous. It was fantastic. So compared to that, yeah, that is a small coffee. But anyway, so for those of you who don't know, even though we are sending updates out about it, we've been testing the latest build of CU with IT. It is, of course, open to, as the name would suggest, IT. We hope to have it open this weekend. I want to talk to the guys, get some data, see how things ran. But I'm hoping we'll have it up this weekend. And it'll be up this weekend at some point. I'm hoping we can just run it the whole weekend. But, I need to have a conversation about that. And so far, so good. I mean, by good, oh yeah, expected issues. I mean, I crashed 4 times in a row the other day. I went in, bam. Went in, said hi, hey, I'll be right back. Bam. 3rd time, bam. 4th time, bam, and that was it. It was as usual an interesting launch day for any major new version, but that's been that's been resolved, and so far it's looking good. At least I haven't crashed, and from what I've seen, it's looking pretty solid. Now it's not complete. We got a whole heck of a lot to do on it, but it is functional. And, one of the things that came up today, got, emails from people, as we do, and one person was all, well, you're putting these things up for IT, but there's nothing really there. It's just, you just keep talking about Cherry Keep. And I'm like, well, no, not really. So just so we're all clear about what's in, this RVR scenario. And why I, used a comparison to Cherry Keep at one point was that, this is one of those great examples of how we are going to use an island, just as we have the smaller places in the past, to not only test tech, but gameplay. So, just so, again, everybody is clear, when you go into the match, and you go to the scenario, though you can obviously wander around where you start. It's set up with a whole lot of keeps, with a whole lot of blocks, and when we start the match, we'll start the scenario, a whole lot of trebuchets. Now, why are we doing that? Of course, we're doing it because, frankly, there are not enough of you in there and in the beginning to build trebuchets to fire at things. So, this allows us to get a lot of data. And the team has been iterating on it, continues to iterate on it, so that, while you folks will also be setting up your own siege weapons and beating down the doors, of these keeps. Speaking of doors, there's an item about doors today. Um, you're going to be beating down these buildings. We get performance info. And that's crucial because we can make improvements to it. But that's not the only thing there. I mean, that would be, kind of, oh, like that's a cherry keep again. No, it isn't. That's only part of it. War bands went in today, and we, looked at how they were running, looked at the code, and the guys are, iterating on that. Obviously, the devout are going in there. The, it's hard to, sometimes put into words, so the message isn't lost. But what you're going to be testing is a slice of Camelot Unchained. It is a slice of the full game loop. So you have crafting in there. You have NPCs in there. You have siege weapons in there. You have building destruction in there. Will have, not through the experimental patcher, the devouts, the devout trio in there. You have everything else in there that we've done to date. So it isn't a question of, oh, this is just like Cherry Keep. It's not at all like Cherry Keep. Cherry Keep was there, as I said on the forums to somebody else. Cherry Keep was there for one reason, one big reason, and that was to prove that, and first to test, but then to prove that our engine could handle what it was supposed to handle. Because it doesn't matter if, we talk about large-scale sieges, if it doesn't perform. And so Cherry Keep proved that with 1,000 or more things, firing to and from a building, that the servers could stay up. And so that was a very, very, very important test for us. And, it was a validation of a lot of very hard work to reach that point. And so while we do have some of that in here with the, the different keeps that are in there, and all of those blocks that are in there, which is more than Cherry Keep, it's in there as part of the game experience. Because that's what you folks are going to be doing. And as I said on the forums, if the engine can handle that, which it has been doing quite fine at, it's going to handle what you folks can throw at it. Because, we didn't, thanks to the Builders Brigade, we didn't stick teeny tiny buildings on there. No, Arthurine, you didn't miss anything. I'm just chatting. I've got the top 10-ish ready to go. You didn't. Yeah, you're seeing what, again, something that is not a worst case scenario. It's kind of a best case scenario. Lots of big things around. So it's important to get that data. It's important for you folks to see that data. It's important for you folks to participate in it. You're welcome, Ortwin. So you're going to be seeing all that and so much more. And the most important thing about this scenario, besides the things I've already said, is that this is going to be part of the 24, by 3, island that's going to be up. This scenario, the starting islands, and other stuff. And so it's all a matter of putting the pieces into place. The only problem with the starting islands is, at least as far as I know right now, yeah, we didn't update the armor on the greeter, and it looks horrendously fantastic. Oh, wait, Hambone, you're in the hospital? Are you working, or hopefully not, a patient? Sorry to interrupt the guys, but Hambone just said, hail from the hospital, Mark. Yeah, we're doing well, and we're all being safe. How are you? What's up? Oh, man. I'm sorry. He's just saying that COVID got him. How you doing? Because what's going on with you is far more important than me prattling on more. And I will. I just want to see how the guys, how Hambone's doing. Afternoon 8:49. Hi, is Adrian? All right. Well, congratulations. So Hambo just said, pretty good. I am off the ventilator and getting discharged tomorrow. Fantastic. Fantastic. Great news. Uh, so glad you got through it. It's a beast. I mean, I've been saying this to friends and family before other people were, unfortunately. This thing's a beast. And, we all have to be smart and we all have to be safe. And, for as as I am known to complain about both sides of the political spectrum here in the United States, we all just got to come together, be smart about this, because this thing will kill you. And even if it doesn't, it will. The damage that it does to you is far worse than people expected. So stay safe, be smart, and please stay uninfected. And Hambo, great, great news. I'm very, very happy for you. Sad you got it, but super happy, that you came through it. So anyway, on to the scenario. So it's just, again, part of the entire island. And that's, and that island, of course, is part of the entire world. So it is very important. Okay. So that said, let's go to the top 10-ish. So this is a mini update. So there's only 14 items on it. There were like 23, 24 before. I cut some of them out because, frankly, I need to save some things, for 2 weeks from now for the full update, since that's essentially a full update and not a bi-weekly update. So, number one, work in progress, tech pathfinding. Lee continues to make progress in solving some of the harder 3D pathfinding situations that arise in our highly complex environments. Yeah, truer words have never been spoken. Pathfinding is difficult. It's one of those things that I've said before, sometimes players, including me, take for granted. But it's just hard, and it's even harder in a game like CU, where you can build anything you like. And so work continues there. Number two, work in progress, tech and art, in-game scenario map. Mr. Koo finished his first pass of the reimagination of CU UI. Christina and Matt are implementing code to ensure the client has all the information that needs to display the new map, and it should be ready for utilization in the scenario. Absolutely. So, if the UI needs an overhaul, it's getting that, and, we will be iterating on it. Number three, work in progress, design 24x3 scenario. This month, we have done a lot of work towards finishing the CU Battleground scenario, including Ben, Christina, Anthony, and Spidey have been hard at work on the design for the Keep Lords and other defensive NPCs with new abilities and behaviors, as well as the balancing and tuning of them. Because if they're off key, God, the entire concert is ruined. B, we've been making a huge step towards the building plots, and that's building plot performance and working closely with the Builders Brigade, thank you again, to get keeps, towers, and essential keep implemented into the scenario. And then scenario scripting, which will manage the objectives, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, has been updated. So that's Overmind. So, yeah, lots of progress there. Work in progress, number 4, Warband overhaul. So we got the first implementation of warbands checked in, and now we're iterating on it. And by we, I don't mean me, because they don't let me touch that code. The only code I have touched is stuff with, Overmind, and that's on the development of the sheets as opposed to on the actual code in the game. Number 5, work in progress, tech and design art, soul essence shards. We have talked about soul shards. We talked about soul shards at the last update, and we have made progress since then and implemented the code for it. Attaching art and utilizing design. This is going to go going into internal testing within the scenario shortly. So yeah, and there's more details for all these things, of course. Number 6, work in progress, tech and art, ability bar customization. Also mentioned in the last update, players will be able to have multiple ability bars and move them into groups. So work continues. Work in progress, because we know just how important that is to you folks, and to me as well. Work in progress, tech and design and art, progress on the devout classes. The last time we talked about devouts, we were still in the phase of implementing their abilities. We have since committed the code and have been deeply testing and iterating on balance changes and bugs that we are fixing. Number 8, work in progress, tech and design and art, the spawn protection bubble. We talked about the ill effects of spawn camping. Ill effects of spawn camping. What a kind way to say that, right? Ill effects of spawn camping. Spawn camping is a bane to the existence of many games. So, look, we're continuing to work on this. Yeah, I know. I can't believe people were just spawn camping, Camelot says in the chat. I'm shocked to find that gambling is going on in this club. Round up the usual suspects. Anyway, so look, what we're doing is a step in the right direction. Will it solve spawn camping? Probably not. If we solve it, fantastic, great. Give us a gold star and a doggy treat. But it's just not an easy thing. Players are always will try to find a way around it. Hey, hydrate. Okay, number 9, work in progress, tech and art, building performance testing. Yeah, super important. Talked about this before. Christina, Colin, and Brian have been working on performance testing with a focus on buildings for the new battleground scenario. Yep, kind of super important. Number 10, work in progress, tech, improved environment rendering. Wiley and Andrew have been working on new technology to allow artists to make more diverse props that blend in with the world, and the ability to make models like rocks and cliffs that can be used at a variety of scales and blend in with the surrounding terrain. In other words, make the world prettier, make it not look like as old of a game as it would look if this was the finished version, which of course it isn't. Number 11, work in progress art, devout. So I just lumped a whole bunch of things, which we'll talk about in the next update here, into one item. Lots of art, animations, armors, masks, etc. Number 12, work in progress scenario support. Keep lords, wyvern, traps, soul shards, and more. 13, completed art, placeable doors. Yay! First set of placeable doors for builders have been made and implemented in the game. Finally. Doors will function as portals with future animation kept in mind. So get them in, get the first step done, use them as portals, then add variations and animations. So yay. Last and not certainly least, since it's mine, work in progress, design, Overmind. Mark has been working in a number of areas within Overmind. He has been focused mainly on speeding up the ability of design engineering to work with and iterate on Overmind-based scenarios. Yep, that pretty much sums it up. Scenarios, testing, things like making it all kind of drag and drop. So, an engineer can just come in and go, well, I just want that, and that, bam, it builds it, you're ready to go. So I've spent a, reasonable amount of time on that, reasonable amount of time doing other things with Overmind, all of which, everything is applicable to CU or part of CU. So look, that's the top 14 for the last couple weeks. There's, like I said, I took a whole bunch of things, I went, because I do want to save some of that as well for the end of the month. So with that, and again to Hambone, I'm really glad you have gone through it. It's not fun, and it is quite deadly. So congrats, to you. Sorry you had it, and congrats on getting through. Jack mode, a little late. Yeah, not as late as we are. What did you miss? You missed the top 14. You missed the fact that we are testing on, right now on the Nawada and the Nawada Prep. I think are both up, or maybe just the Nawada is up now. With IT, and we hope to have it open over the weekend, and then we hope it will be ready for alphas, hopefully, early next week. It will be an unstable build. It will not be a finished build alphas. We're going to bring you in so we can add some more volume to the game. Have more people breaking stuff. But we want to give IT continued, chance to, have some fun, break some things, tell us what's wrong. So, having said all that, Q&A, folks, ask away. When will the next betas test be available? Next week, I am hoping. I think it will be. Right now, we're looking good. Again, it will be after the IT guys can continue to get in and let us know what we have to fix. Malefic, is Cube going to be included in the CU game, or is that actually a separate entity? Oh no, it's going to be yours. You're a backer of the game. You get CU and Cube. It's the same sort of thing. I know some people don't like when I say this, but look, it was the same thing, we're doing with Ragnarok. We're giving it to you, our backers. So yeah, Cube, you're going to get that. It will come, with CU, and if we make it a separate SKU down the road, you'll get that too. Frequency, any blaring class imbalances that you're aware of? Nope. But that doesn't mean a blessed thing, because Ben may be aware of it and I don't. One of the things that I don't do is micromanage on a day-to-day basis, Ben, on, hey, how's it going on balance right now? Just like I wouldn't on the engineers, hey, how many lines of code have you written today? So, as far as I know, things are moving along, nicely. With that, I haven't had a report about how bad it was. So hopefully it isn't bad. Will balance be more of a focus for the 24/3 server? Absolutely not at first. Obviously, what first is to get the server up and running, make sure it stays up and running, get you people in, and get a lot of time playing it. Jeb Bush. Here, let me scroll up. You just scrolled off. What will the inevitable IRS rate? So he's asking if $200 investment in this game or donation to this game was worth it, or the inevitable IRS rate. Well, I don't expect an IRS rate at any time, quite frankly. Do I think it's worth it? That's going to be for you to say. I think it will be. But that at the end of the day is up to the backers, and it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you folks are the ones who decide. Tansky, when is this game going to be playable? Well, it is right now. We're testing it with our IT backers. Is it a full game? No. Dupers, hey, do you think this game will come out in 50 years or after? Yeah, I think it'll be a little bit before, but hey, thanks for that question. Rockhardia Games. But has any of the negativity around what happened with Chronicles of Illyria affected you guys or any future contributions? Well, I can't say anything about future contributions. I mean, look, games fail. Kickstarters fail. Doesn't matter. It just happens. You can have games done by big studios that fail, by big publishers with big studios that fail. You can have indie games that fail. I wouldn't say that, it doesn't affect us at all because we're another Kickstarter game. But the thing is, unlike certain, other games, we, have been putting in our own money. The investors have put in money. I put in money. And, we have shown our commitment to making Camelot Unchained. And, that's all that matters to me. And hopefully that's what matters to you folks, because we're not doing any shady things like trying to raise money from you guys by holding, begathons or selling stuff. We're just making the game. And yeah, it's taking longer and that sucks, but you can go play it right now if you're IT and you can see the performance. And by the way, if you want to see the performance, if you just so happen to go to our forums and look for the live streaming, live stream thread from Wednesday, you might find a link to something that might happen to show you something about what's going on with the game right now. But you got to go to the forums to do that. Foot Whipper, what classes would you say are ready to get ice on there? All of them. Anything that's in there should be looked at. And I don't mean looked at just to, hey, because they're fun, to tell us what isn't fun, what is wrong, what you don't like, what you do like. Please, everybody, we want your feedback. We want you to test it. And, as soon as possible, we're going to get this through IT. And IT, if you're listening, please come in. You've been asking, to come in. Obviously with Ragnarok, a lot of you said, well, what about CU? Here we go. I promised you we'd be doing it, and we're doing it. So ITs, please, please, please come in. We need your feedback. Coach T, is there any chance of the Buddy beta codes being extended to Ragnarok testing? Good question. Yeah, that seems like I should be willing to do that. Yeah, I'll do that. Nobody asked that. So, hey, great. Thank you, Coach T. Send me a message on the forums, please, to remind me. I'll talk to Tim about what we would need to do that. But yeah, thank you so much. After playing on a Dayak free shot, I've noticed it's tough at times to get a group due to certain necessities. How do you think CU will be, how similar do you think CU will be in that manner? Yeah, like any game like that. Anytime you have classes that are distinct, anytime you have classes, like you mentioned, speed class, that's a healer. That's always a problem. So yeah, we're going to have a similar problem. But all these games do. It's one of the reasons, why certain games try not to have that. I mean, one of the reasons Elder Scrolls gave everyone stealth. Why, in other games, everyone can heal. So, will we have that problem? Yes. But it's a good problem to have. Freelick, way back when I did a Warrior Forever as a Kickstarter backer, is it possible to do that for my wife and youngest daughter now? Yeah, the store we still allow founders to buy founders gear, so yes, it is. Vajomancer, Mark, do you play Dayak Phoenix? If so, why are you out here? No, I don't. I don't play any Dark Age of Camelot, and I missed the game. I certainly played, a lot of it during testing. I always talked about the story I couldn't play at my house at the time, but I miss it. But for reasons that I've gone into more times than I should, the answer is no, I don't play it. And why are you helping? Joseph Thompson, I think the Cube question was more about what role Cube will play. Can you design something in Cube and import it to see? That's what's going on already. You can do that. That's what blueprints and everything else will be for all you folks. That's exactly why we built that. so you can experiment with things and then bring them into the game. Tansky, you're welcome. Frequency. My guild is heavily interested in this game after a pseudo presentation. Is guild support, thank you for that. Is guild support a thing in game yet, or is there a timeline? Yeah, okay, look, ask the tough questions. I don't mind tough questions. You know, that's one of the things when I do interviews, whether it's with Massively or anyone else, they usually tend to enjoy them because they can ask me tough questions. I don't care. You know, as long as I don't have to insult other developers or, you know, say anything bad about anyone who's worked for me or anything like that. I ask tough questions. Doesn't bother me. Yes, that was one of the things that was going into what JB was working on, he's working on. So yes, we want guild support as soon as possible. It's very important, we know that. So yeah, expect it. Camelot, why do Devout only have short-range delivery options? Well, that's a better question for Ben to answer, and I'm sure he'll explain it once we can get past, you know, Corona world. Is Virata, which feature or mechanic you think of or think will be the most innovative one if we think about MMOs offered in 20 years? No, that's a great question. There's a number of them in what we're doing with CU, just as like I always like to do in all my games. I'm hoping the crafting system, you know, in terms of non-combatants, certainly will be the thing that they will remember. For combatants, I hope it's obviously the ability crafting system. I think both aspects. Obviously, there have been great crafting games like, Star Wars Galaxies and others, as well as some games, and even a mud of mine from 30 years ago, you know, had ability crafting. So I hope those two features are, you know, remembered going forward. Hambone, for crafters, will we be able to create on our own sigil for weapons armor we make, kind of like a brand logo? That was actually and still is my design for crafters, in my design for crafters. So the answer is yes. Mal, there's a lot of displaced MMOers seeking a new home in a very, very stale market. If CU gets to market, I have no doubt it'll be massively successful. I think it'll be successful. I think massively, no. Massively on the scale of certainly WoW not happening. Elder Scrolls not also happening. And the reason is simple. You know, this game is being designed for you people. The folks who like RVR, who like PvP. That's your focus. That's what you want to play. And that is almost always going to put you in games that have a lower population than something like a WoW. And, you know, that's okay. I'm fine with that. Being successful is good enough. That's what we set out to do. And that's what we're, you know, going to continue to do. You know, that we hope you enjoy. We will. Navivia, look, I won't talk about Ragnarok on this stream. You know, it's something that I've said, unless it's short, and what I will give you a very short answer, because this really is about CU, and I want to keep it that way out of respect for the CU backers. And I can recap the status of it and say how it's infected the MMO. It's affected it greatly, and in a positive way. You know, the backers who are in right now playing the game are seeing Overmind, you know, in action. Not a lot. It's a start. That, you know, helps CU. The performance stuff we did for Ragnarok, that helped CU. The additional engineers and artists we got from the investors, that is now helping CU. And the engineers helped CU in the past by helping us with Linuxification and load scaling and all the other things. So has it affected CU? Absolutely, but it's helped it. And, less than 90 days ago, I went before all of you and talked about this. And there was anger, still is. There was, complaining, fine, understood. There were death threats. Enough with that, please. But we said we were going to go and we were going to prove to you that we were still committed to CU. All you have to do is go into what we have right now and what we're going to have in a month, which is, by the time it's more polished and everything else. And you can see that how much, it just helped. Dupers, yeah, your pyramid scheme. Oh, yeah, keep coming. You're asking really fantastic questions. So I'm really sorry you've got nothing better to do with your day than come in and say stuff like that. So, that's how you're getting your enjoyment. Keep going. GFAT, how is the financial state of City State Games? Great question, an honest one. I love it. Look, I've said this before. I said this last month and the month before. Right now, the investors and I are paying for this company and for the games. That's the state. Will the company need any additional funding prior to CU release? Absolutely. Look, do the math. And I say that not with any anger. We raised less than $5 million from backers, and the investors and I put in, multiples of that. So the answer is yes, we'll need more funding, but we're funding it because we believe in what we're doing. And so, yeah. But are we going out of business tomorrow? Well, obviously not. We have, great time if we wanted to say, hey, we're out of business. But we're not. We are continuing to work. We're continuing to interview new candidates. So, take that for what it's worth. Tataki, I tried out Warhammer recently. Great game. Thank you. Will cities be completely destroyable or just raised? So anything that's built by players can be raised to the ground. Now, we talked about this, many times over the years. What we don't want to happen, what can happen, is that if you build a great city, in a great town, etc., it shouldn't be able to be destroyed in 30 minutes. I mean, that's insanity, right? You folks would quit in droves, unless you just had to push a button and come back. So, if you wanted to think about a typical night, could a group of 300, say, set upon the biggest city in the world and raise it to the ground? Of course not. Could they damage it? Oh, absolutely. If they sat around there for days doing nothing but that, could they raise it? Oh, absolutely. But if they're sitting for days doing nothing but that and nobody from that realm is trying to defend and fight, well, then obviously that server has bigger issues. So yes, everything that is built by players can be destroyed. On the other hand, we've talked about the Dragon's Web a little bit. We've talked about block health and crafting. And so, it's not going to be as easy as it looks in the videos if you're over and looked at the video, because that is what we're using now. We're using what is essentially the weakest possible, buildings, in the sense of there are no defenses. These are not special blocks. There's nothing else. This is just, trebuchets and people firing at things that don't, depending on where you are, fire back and don't repair. So yes, you can destroy stuff, but it won't be easy. That's him. Oh God, Mark, what's it now? 17 years? No. At least, if you're gonna throw insults, try to be clever. That's just, more fun. Plus, it amuses other people, and right now, just kind of amusing yourself. Oh, Dupers, you're so, God, you're so funny. Ah, you really should get better material. Green Jericho. What pet peeves do you have about recently released MMOs that would be difficult to avoid in CU? So I won't talk about MMOs specifically because that would of course um, violate one of my strictest rules of insulting other developers. However, what we can talk about are pet peeves about games in general, without specifically looking at any one of them. So pet peeves. One of my favorite, of course, is gold selling. That's no surprise. Microtransactions in a subscription-based game. Over monetization. So I'm obviously very much against that. Now, fortunately, that won't be difficult for us to avoid, but I just kind of wanted to start with it. I think the biggest problem we're going to have, and this is something that's been talked about in the MMO circles, for years and years and years, and I've also talked about it myself, which is the dumbing down of MMO mechanics, making everything easier, take less time, and simpler. And look, that's a thing that I've also said we did with Warhammer. We were trying to make, and Dayak as well in some ways. That Dayak was specifically targeting, games that had come before in terms of, well, we don't want it to take quite as long as that. And we don't want that kind of downtime. But look, it's something that as a trend that has increased over the decades. So, that is something that is going to be difficult to avoid because we're not trying to make it easier, which means there'll be some people who look at this and go, well, this is too hard. Why can't I level up right away? Why can't I buy levels? So, I think that's going to be a problem. Now, not for us to avoid, it's easy for us to avoid, but it is a problem that we can't avoid in another sense, in that people will not be happy. And that's fine. Again, we're not making this game for everybody. We're just making it for people who want to play this kind of game. Freelick, will crafted items have the name of the creator? Oh, absolutely. And, if you have the name of the creator, you can stop V'ger too. So you got to remember that. Sorry, I got to get a Star Trek reference in. Brave Little Toaster. Love that name. As someone who played a lot of EVE Online in the past, how do you envision the in-game market to look? Individual market locations or global market? Individual. We've said we may have a commodities market, but we are not going to have a big giant market, an auction house or anything like that. We've said no to that, and that's just how it is. So hopefully, you'll like, what you see, and hopefully you'll think that that is something that's, worth playing with. I think it is, and that's how it is. Hang on one second. So, sorry. Okay, let's see. Dupers. Can you just end these dogs' pain and say, see you is dead? See, you had to go insult everyone in this stream. You had to cross the line. So, yeah, you're done. You know, great. See You Isn't Dead. It's exact opposite, but you don't care. So, hey, too bad. Go away. You know, find some other stream to waste your time in because you're not even funny. Gosh, at least be funny. CBL Legend just joined the stream. Is there a tentative release date that founders can start playing? Founders can start playing if you're IT. If you can play now. If you're alpha or beta, you'll be playing next week. Our goal, as I've said many times, you know, is to have a 24/3 server up, you know, as quickly as we can. And that means we're hoping weeks, maybe, if not certainly months. And by weeks, on the same kind of tier. First IT gets it, then, you know, alphas get it, then betas, just to see how we do it. Raf, how do you see the longevity of this RVR PvP model over time? Will it be permanent? Will there be seasons with changes in the rule sets, resets? Great question. Thank you. RVR is absolutely something that has longevity. It has more longevity in its own weights than PvE. Let me explain that. PvE needs fresh content, usually. You know, after a while, even if you're an alcoholic like me, you know, you want new content, and that generally has to be made by the developers. Again, generally. RVR, you folks are making your own entertainment, and you know, you're beating on each other. So RVR can have a greater longevity than a PvE game. Obviously, Dark Age of Camelot has proved, you know, to have a nice longevity. Ultima Online is at a nice longevity, et cetera, et cetera. So will there be seasons? No, there won't. Will there be different rule sets? Yes, there will. I'm a big fan of that. Obviously, I've been doing it since my Galaxy days. You know, we expect to do the same thing. I'd love to have full root, you know, servers up, as well as, you know, obviously free-for-alls. We did with Dark Age, and I expect to do the same thing here. But the core game is still RVR, and then we'll have the different rule sets, which will be pure PvP. Real Life Gabo, what do you think the next big hurdle will be? What would be the next? See, the reason why I'm saying that and kind of sighing is because we've gone through all the big hurdles that, you know, we thought were going to be challenging right from the beginning. You know, we talked about this with the Cherry Keep, is that, you know, that was our last big technological hurdle. You know, in terms of things that were going to be hard to solve, Linuxification was something that we knew was going to take time to solve, not as much time as it took, but wasn't hard in the same sense that building destruction was. I mean, and you know, I've said this before, when you look at other games out there who've had building destruction, nobody can do it the way we can, you know, which means these huge block-based buildings, not template-based buildings, networked across many people as want to throw themselves into the match or under the rubble. So, you know, we don't have any great big technical hurdles anymore as far as we can tell, you know, and that's what testing is about. That's what the 24/3 server is about. We've solved those problems. We can network as many players in an area as we need to. You've seen it, and some of you have even been in tests where you've seen it. We've done it with building destruction as well. So we don't have anything like that left, which is why I'm so confident about you know, where we are right now. Pedrosium, will we be able to get to beta before 2022? Well, it's in beta right now. It's an early beta. We have ITs in this weekend, and hopefully next week for alphas. Dark Eternal, what do you think would be a minimum subscription population? Certainly less than $15 a month. We have to figure out what that is based on what the cost of hosting on the cloud versus the hosting on our own iron. And that's one of the things that will determine the pricing. Team is fairly easy to calculate, but when you look at MMOs in the old days, you paid for servers, and then after a time, essentially the game is free. In terms of servers, except if they eventually wear out, you paid for it. You have to now still have to pay for the bandwidth, you have to pay for the location, but you don't have to buy new hardware every year. And so cloud is different. Cloud, you get charged every day, every month, like you just bought a server, essentially. Now, it's less, and they spread out the cost, but it never goes to zero. And that's the difference with, hosting your own servers and using the cloud. That's the simplest explanation. And so our costs are going to be driven by whether we go with pure cloud or pure our own. So that's something that we're going to figure out. Naja, with New World coming out, so you might struggle with success. No, not one bit. Look, and it doesn't matter if, New World is fantastic, if Crowfall is fantastic, other games are fantastic. I heard the same thing with Dayak. Well, Dayak can't succeed, because look at these games. And Mark, my favorite story was all the publishers I went to who said, Mark, there's hundreds of other MMOs in development right now. Hundreds. Why do you think you can deliver? Yeah, when I asked them to name them, of course they couldn't, though if there was a site, I don't remember its name, that used to have a list of all the games that were currently in development. And there were hundreds. So, did that faze me? No, not one bit. The nice thing about this market is there's room for more than one game. Unless, of course, that game happened to be WoW. Now, even when that was happening, other games were still making money, but they weren't making as much. So, not the least bit worried. Caladex. Do the investors know you don't have enough money runway to finish the game? Caladex. That's who's giving us the money. Of course they know. I'm one of them. That's why they're giving us money. It isn't like they're just going, here, Mark, free money. No, of course they know. They know exactly what is going on. That's the whole point. Yes, no worries. Jeez. I mean, not that again, the investors include me. So yes, I know. I think I missed a question I wanted to answer. Sorry. Let me scroll up. Yeah, it's at Avoid Pain 3. Will this game have a carrot on a stick reward system like Dayak has had Realm Ranks? Well, everything, right? It's we've said this before. You never stop leveling up your character. And that's why, Dayak needed Realm Ranks because we needed a way of rewarding people, for capping and then giving them different abilities and other things beyond what was at the time the cap. And that was a hard cap. No, this is a soft cap game. You're going to keep leveling your way up. What do we mean? Will Overmind be able to enforce a disease effect that forces players to maintain a sentence from all other players in game? Well played. Yes, actually, I could do that. I mean, you'd create an ability to prevent people from getting within 6 feet of each other. So, yeah. Scott Tiggerin, how are you guys working from home? Not. Look, I love my home. I have a nice setup out here in the sun porch. I love my family, but I miss my studio. I miss being at work. I miss my team. I miss interacting with them. I miss the conversations. I miss, their presence. And so, no, I'm not enjoying it. And look, I have it good. And this is why I won't complain about it. I refuse to complain about it. Because I do have it so much easier, than many other people do. And certainly more than most people, do in the world, that, I can live here in this, beautiful home, and, surrounded by trees, and, just work in a very pleasant environment where, most people in the world can't do that. And so, I won't complain about it, but boy, I would much rather be in the office. Portentous, will any of your current employees be able to live stream from home? That's really up to them. Look, I've always said, that I don't force people to stream. I only want people to stream if they're comfortable. And so I don't want to put additional pressure on the team, by doing that. If anyone wants to stream, they'll be more than welcome to. But I just don't want to, do this sort of thing. Shannon Niner, I'd like to know if NVIDIA or Razer are a sponsor. Oh, they're at the bottom because NVIDIA and Razer have been partners of ours. NVIDIA was great, especially early on. Not that they haven't been good afterwards, we just haven't asked them for anything. And Razer as well was nice to us, so we've left their name up there as just a thank you to them. As we've talked about, NVIDIA, we've had close relations with NVIDIA for years. Andrew knew a bunch of guys. We worked with them at Mythic, and they gave us the source code for PhysX, which we worked with and done a lot of interesting things too. So we could do something that never had been done before, which was put that on the server. So yeah, that's a thank you to them, and same to Min over at Razer, because they were also nice to us in the beginning. So we left it up. Friction 95. Will RVR zones persist a la DAOC, or are they more timed like ESO? Oh, it's open world game. Right now, we're testing in scenario like setups because that's just simply easier. We had a discussion on the forums regarding that, and the fact is, we don't want to just build a giant open world, because if it's not filled with tons of people, then people get bored and go, "Why can't find anyone to fight?" So we like to concentrate it in these scenarios. Now, for those of you who've been in this scenario, it isn't small, that's for sure, and so it's an island size. So we're giving you an absolute game slice of Camelot Unchained. Not a full game slice, not a finished game slice, but you can see what it's like. Zeramus, got here late. How many minutes did you miss? 41 minutes and 55 seconds. Actually, 42 minutes. Yeah, I am way behind because of, all the things. Dr. Eternal, will see you be able to be played by a casual gamer, or you'll be crushed by 24/7 players. Well, I've said this from the beginning. This game, because it's a horizontal, not a vertical progression game, can be played by people who are more casual. So, yes, absolutely. Caldex, just got on. What do you want me to test, MJ? Did you use the experimental patcher to load in one of the devout classes? If you didn't, yeah, please. Krenin, Mark, when will our Free for Life add-on tiers be added to our Warrior Forever tiers second accounts? Oh, well before you have to worry about paying for the subscription. Kaushi, I'm glad you're looking forward to this coming. Just so you know, it's we are now at an hour, so I'll let this continue for a bit longer. And I got a lot to do. Raph, anyway, love you, Mark. Just make the game you want. We'll be happy to slaughter each other in it. That's what we're working on. Mariachi Berry. So, is it possible to open my own shop like in Star Wars Galaxies? That's the absolute intent. I mean, look, I've said this before. SWG, one of the best of all time, especially crafting system, the best of all time. And so, yes, having your own shop is kind of a thing. It has to be a thing because we have no auction house. Oh, just ignore Dupus. He's got nothing useful to say. And not even funny, so yeah, just ignore him. That's the best thing you do with him. Just ignore him at this point. Tataki, where do I stand on faction switching? I don't allow it. Not in this game. Zaurid. So I'm guessing that this has been covered at some point, but I know there's been some recent controversy around cheat protection with Valorant's early access. Does CU have something planned in place to prevent the cheating that plagues so many PC games? Great question. So yes, and it's super important. It's something we've been talking about right from the beginning, and that is what we do with our servers. Cheating in MMOs happens because too much stuff at times is put on the client. You know, it's one of the reasons I like to quote Rich Lawrence, who's now over at New World, he of Kesmite fame, saying, "Don't trust the client." And, you know, we've taken that to an extreme. So, you know, when you look at cheating and you look at things like speed hacks, of course, and every other thing that people have done, they rely on clients being allowed too much control, you know, of what's going on in the game, even if it's only a little bit. Yeah, we don't do that. So, you know, that kind of cheating, the idea is the only way to do that would be to actually physically hack the server. And look, DDoSing servers, yeah, you know, people can do that. Hacking servers is another thing, and it's harder, much, much harder. Hacking the client's relatively easy. Hacking servers is a lot harder. So, yeah, you know, will this solve everything? No, of course not, because, you know, we'll make mistakes, and we hope we won't make many of them. But, you know, human and all that. So, you know, the intent was right from the beginning to make sure the server was able to do that. That's actually one reason when, if you look at, you know, something like Ragnarok, why we can't move and do some things as quickly as you could in the single player game, because we do rely on the server, and we like that. Exxon 4, do you think you might be able to buy subscription time with in-game currency? There are no plans to do that. You know, we'll see if that changes, but right now there are no plans. Well, Dubers, well, see, now you're lying. I never said we could do 10K by times 10K battles. So, you know, I think it really is time that, you know, you leave us, which is a shame. Unfortunately, not much on modding, but I can report. So we'll start with that. Because frankly, yeah, now you're just lying and you're harassing, so done. Anyway. Goonie, how many active subscribers are you going to need after launch to keep the lights on? That's, what we said right from the beginning. 50,000 will be great. Foot Whipper, any idea on add-ons or macros for the game? Well, that's why we allow people, to mod our game within reason. Be right back. Okay. Still Thunder, yeah, that's what I just did. Jane, will be scenarios like in Warhammer Online, just like we're doing now, yes, for now, and then we will have starting Battlegrounds, but not after that. Night Hero, I've already responded to that question. So they'll be added to your secondary accounts, when we get a chance, frankly, because we're not charging. There was no reason to do that yet. And actually, WoW was in development, just so you know, over 6 years. If you go back and you look at, and even longer if you consider, and I think they did factor some of that time in from what they were making. What was it? Warcraft Legends? I forgot the name of the game. And as other guys said, they weren't making their own engine at the time. Well, to me, yes, the way this chat has been going, you must have had too many years of dealing with naysayers. Yep. Look, I had naysayers when we first started when I made my first mod. The death threats started then. And I was a Satanist, apparently, because I was making a game with elves and dwarves and magic. That was one of my favorite nasty grams from people. So yeah, I'm always dealing with naysayers, and over 30 plus years now of making games, multiple MMOs, online games when nobody cared about MMOs. So yeah, I don't really care about naysayers, especially when they're like certain people in the chat right now. Oh no, dupers. I just wanted to report you. That's so much more fun. And yeah, I don't do a lot of as these, I just don't. And usually we had Max do that. Andrew Kin, thank you for being grateful. Look, I want people, to be grateful only when we release a great game, and then they should be thankful to themselves, because it would be partially due to you folks that we're able to do this. So, yay to all of us. Malefic, are there any plans to license the CU engine like Unreal did? Not right now. That would be, so if you guys wanted a sign, that would be like, okay, they're really just focused on making an engine. That would be the sign that we were just interested in making an engine. We've done that much, zero, double zero, on trying to license this engine. Well, there's no point. You don't want to license an engine. You shouldn't until you have at least a game out for it. And so we've done nothing for that. We're not the least bit interested in licensing that right now. Zero. We've had inquiries. I've turned down every one. And I've turned them down even before they start talking money. There's no point. When you look at what licensing the engine at this point would do, even if somebody paid us millions of dollars, the time it would take away from making the game, not worth it. So we're not going to do that, won't do that. Post-launch, anything's a possibility. And I mean post-launch CU. Just in case anyone was thinking, oh, it means Ragnarok. No, I don't. Prometheus, I just stumbled on the stream. Are you the guy that made Dayak? So I am the guy who was the head of the company. I'm the guy who came up with the idea for Dayak. I'm the guy who's the lead designer on Dayak. But Dayak was made by an entire team of great and talented and hardworking, people. But yes, I am the guy who headed up that company. Drunk Stains, what do you mean horizontal progression? Sure, that's easy. So when you look at vertical progression is a super escalating tower of goodness, or badness, depending on how you want to look at things. And D&D being a great example of that, in that you start an old school D&D. I haven't looked at the new game recently, so I can't talk about that, where you start off with the game, and at level 1, a rat bites you when you die. And then when time you match your character, you can, kill every rat, including Ben and Willard and everybody else that runs around, with their giant rat brothers. That's vertical. Horizontal would be more like, okay, so you're fighting a big rat, and you just started the game, and the rat's giving you a hard time, but maybe you kill it. Maybe the rat kills you. Then, you get, more powerful, or you play the game and you practice more. And instead of just, a year later be able to kill the rat and every other rat at the same time, you instead get different attacks, different abilities, different things, for your character that might not help you kill that rat a lot faster, but it does allow you to kill it faster. It gives you more options. It gives you the ability to fight, and survive longer against people who might be more powerful than you, but who don't also have the ability to kill you in one shot. It means that when you start the game, you should still be able to give trouble, when if you got a couple buddies to kill, the biggest, baddest rat. But you will still die. In a vertical progression system, you would never stand a chance against that big giant rat. He would just kill you instantly. So, the idea is that we want to give more abilities to people, more options to people, while leveling up the things that would allow you essentially to just look at somebody and cough on them and kill them. So sort of like Corona to the max. And so that's a very simple, explanation. Bobo, you know the answer to that. Will res ability be an ability that can improve like other skills? Yes, of course. Noir, what is the next step after the new scenario? More scenarios, open worlds? So next, 24/7. Well, 24/3 in the meantime, but we're hoping 24/7. Will come eventually, where you have the home islands, where you have other islands, where you have, this island, albeit changed. And it feels like you're playing, the game. It's a piece of the game, but it's still the game. That would be the next big step. Raf, quick question. Oh, I'm catching up. I pledge for you pledge for a physical edition. If I want to upgrade my pledge to get the lifetime sub, will I lose my physical edition? Got it. Okay, yeah, that's a question that people ask all the time. It's a good question because there is no physical with a lifetime sub. Are you better off to take the pledge for a lifetime sub on top of your physical pledge? Yes, if you like the physical pledge. The problem with physical pledges is obviously that they're physical. It involves making things and shipping things, and whereas digital stuff, you only have to make them in the virtual world. You don't have to actually make the physical. So yes. Marasabari, since you love Star Wars Galaxies, did you ever think about social classes like medic, dancer, musician? Post-launch, I could certainly see a role for some of those kind of classes. Though I must admit, I was, one of the jokes that I made when we were developing Imperator back at Mythic was save the universe, no dancing required. I had a shirt made up and showed it to Raph. So that was fun. He laughed. Dark Eternal. Does use horizontal leveling make death less important? No and yes in a sense. So no, not really, because you die, and that affects whatever gameplay. But in a game possibly with vertical, progression, sometimes they're tied with penalties, and if you die, if you're super powerful, maybe you lose some more stuff or you lose some progression. But we're not doing any of that, so I can't think of a case where we're actually making it less, except for those sorts of things which we weren't doing. So, yeah. Ooh, I'm caught up. Oh my God. That's amazing. Okay, 13 minutes and it'll be 5:30. So, I'll be happy to talk for another 13 minutes. Mark, do you think a monthly sub is a realistic monetization strategy now that WoW is down to 2 million subs? So I don't know where you get your numbers. WoW sub numbers have always been amusing because, Activision talked about when they had their peak subs, would talk about people who were playing in Asia as subs, even though they were playing in the PC cafes. So I don't know if they're down to 2,000, so I really can't talk about that. But yeah, I think it's absolutely something that will work. Because frankly, if our sub price was below the sub price of other games, what is that to players nowadays? If you go back to when the $9.99 or $9.95, in the case of the studio that made EverQuest, when they were charging that $10, bought a lot more than $10 buys now. And so if we were looking at $20 or $30, you'd be absolutely right. That would be tough. But when you go and you get a coffee and you get well, in this case, I didn't have to pay for this one, at least, not before I bought it. If you look at what, a movie ticket costs, if you look at what, the larger size coffee, plus, not even a sandwich, I think they were more expensive at Starbucks. I haven't bought one in forever, so I can't actually tell you that. If your subscription is less than that, what does that, how does that impact most people? And the answer is not greatly. So do I think it's going to work? So I'm perfectly comfortable with that. Land Spoil and Dayak, I like the idea of graves and pray to get something back. Anything like that in the works? Well, we haven't even talked about that mechanic. Um, you know, when you die, there will be a penalty. We've talked about a little bit about that. We do have res, as well. We've been talking about that. So, look, one of the things I said about this game right from the beginning is that we're going to look at not only the games I made, but other people make and other ideas and see what works the best for this game. JT, will you be able to be a crafter and a fighter? The crafter class is separate. So if you want to play a pure crafter, you'll be a crafter. Now, can you fight? Absolutely. I wouldn't go one-on-one, with one of the other races and class combinations because there isn't a combination that's probably weak enough that your average crafter could take on one-on-one and win in a traditional fight. But crafters will have access to traps and to bombs and other things that they can use to make the other person's life more difficult. So can you fight? Absolutely. Can you fight one-on-one and expect to win? No. Can be useful in a fight? Absolutely. Fandrid. Hi, Fandrid. Yeah, well, CU's had a big update. Certainly, we've got right now, the new RVR scenario on the new RVR island with the new classes. Some, not all, I don't think all are fully in yet, running for our IT folks. So all that's gone in. We did an update with warbands. Sorry, we did an update, or I talked about a full update, 14 items, including warbands, which were put in today that we tested and we've been working on. Gustavo, Javelin. Hey, Javelin. What variety of crafted arrows and traps in number of shapes would you consider reached when the game reaches maturity state? A lot. I haven't even thought about where it would be at maturity. So, Kutar, look, the game we did a Kickstarter for the game in 2013, so it is 7 years. I know it feels like more. Are we 2 or 3 years away? No, look, and in terms of shielding you all from the truth, I haven't been really good at that. I just kind of talk and tell you. Are we 3 years away from release? No, and it's never going to be done. MMOs are never done until they're closed. So, let's just say, when would it be going gold? I can't imagine it would be 3 years. I just can't at this point. There is no way. But frankly, I think the investors would pay for 3 more years of us working on CU to get it to a gold state. Zeris, will crafters likely be good for Siege? Absolutely. I know it wasn't a question, but you're absolutely right. They'll be very helpful in sieges. Super helpful. And that's the idea, right? We want crafters, and we've said this, from the beginning, as you know. Well, you may not know. Actually, no, you do know. That, we want them to be important in sieges. We want them to help repair things. We're going to give them special abilities to use during sieges. They want them to use traps. Dropping little bombs on people will be really helpful. Drunk stains. Yes, the answer is yes. I've said that before, and I'll say it again and again and again because I love rule sets. I've been using them since the 80s, mid 80s even. Well, Pedroza, we're in beta right now, early beta, but we're in beta. Swordplay, are you hitting a point in development where you need to cut or simplify things in order to launch an MVP? No, we're not right now. We have no plans of launching an MVP. Not with not with CU. You folks who are backing us want to finish game. And look, if that's the only way we could do it, sure, we'd have to think about it. But that's not the plan. That's not the plan for the investors. That's not the plan for me. That's not the plan for the team. Uh, that's not what we're looking to do. Okay, it's 5 minutes. So as always, with 5 minutes to go, I'm going to look for one last great question, and then I'll answer it, and onward we will go. In the meantime, if anyone wants to ask yes/no questions that are easy, I'll get them done. Gustavo, you're welcome. What are you drinking? Iced coffee. The man, when did this happen? I sent an email out about it. It happened an hour and 26 minutes ago. No, Murray, let's play some more Dayak until you are done. Yeah, go play on the free shard. Support the free shard. Joseph, did you answer my question about seamless map transitions? I didn't see it. So why don't you ask it again, please, to save me from trying to scroll up and find it. And, we'll go on, and I'll answer that even if I answer the last question. D-Realms. Haha, love you, Mark, dealing with stupid trolls. Look, if that's how somebody has to get pleasure for themselves, I am more sorry for them than I am sorry for myself having, to see that. Tataki, it's been nice to see you so often. If you get bored, be sure to come on. Yeah, I plan on streaming more. Look, the last few weeks have been nuts. Getting the team set up remotely, dealing with things. Yeah, it's always a challenge. Things have now settled down a bit, so I want to stream more. So I think you guys are going to get sick of me soon. Hey, some of you have been sick of me like, Dupers and others for a while. So, hey. Ben, ask what I'll play. Yeah, that is a trap. Dun, 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 dun. Got it, Joseph. Does the CU engine support seamless transitions between island maps so that in open world there are no loading screens? That's the intent. That's the intent. We were at that stage. Now, when I say we were at that stage, it doesn't mean that we can't do that. It's just that we haven't used that in a bit. And the answer is yes, we want that when people connect islands. Right now, the answer is, of course, no, because there's water in between them. Tetrahelix, I'm going to go with that one. What is the hardest thing you see your team working on the next 6 months? I think that's a really good question. And there have been some other good ones, but that's a really good one because it's an important one, actually. So, many months ago, I laid out what I think the thought were the most important things for our team to work on. And that one of those was, of course, the dreaded word, which we all hate, and nobody hates it as much as me, of Linuxification. Though I did like, riffing on the Inquisition from Mel Brooks for Linuxification. I thought that was reasonably amusing. So when you look, where we are and where I want to be 6 months from now, I think the hardest thing is going to be to have that 24/7 server up and running that shows a really, 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 yes, really, game slice for all you folks. I want it to feel like the game. I want, as the months go on, I want you to see more and more of the game come into focus. That is more challenging, of course, than it seems, because it would seem, oh, they just put some classes together. You don't need a lot more tech. And you're right about that, the tech. And throw some more islands up there, and you're good to go. And you're right, we could do that. I mean, with the stuff we have now with our editor and hopefully more improvements that are coming, it would be relatively easy for us to do that. And this is why, as well, when people ask, well, are you going to do an MVP? Our answer is no. We could. I mean, realistically, we could take what we had and put in a bunch more islands and throw in a couple more classes and throw some more into crafting and say, okay, we're MVPing it. We're sorry. We want to do, launch, with a full game, but we're not going to. And no, we are not, going to do that at all. And so, what would seem easy isn't, because we want the islands to feel like they will in the live game. We want the classes that are in there to feel like they're the live game. We want the crafting system to feel like the live game, and obviously sieging to feel like the live game. And so that's what's hard. It's making, that kind of content and making it feel good. Because for the most part, I'm done with tech demos, for CU. That's what Cherry Keep, as I've said so many times, was intended to be the last great tech demo, for CU. Because that was the last big part we needed. We're going to, as we do stuff with Linux and as we do other things, sure, there'll be times where we're going to do, little tech tests. We have to. I do that when I'm working on Overmind, for God's sakes. But in terms of big tech demos, yeah, we're kind of done with them. We proved what we needed to prove. We did what we needed to do. And we're going to continually run small ones, like I said, or, Linuxification ones, but not this, more all-encompassing, test different things. So building out something over the next 6 months that feels like a real game, right? That, we're not content anymore with just going, okay, we got to focus on tech. So we're going to focus on smaller things other than tech. Those days, again, those are gone. So that's what's going to be hard. I don't want to keep trying to push the envelope because we don't need to. We've proven that the engine can do what it's supposed to do. We've proven it to backers like yourselves who've been in there, who have seen these tests, who have been part of the craziness of either 3,000 ARCs and bots running around, or this Cherry Keep running around craziness. So that's what we wanted. Exactly is there. That's what's important. And that's, what we're doing. And that's, the beauty of what we've done to date. And, it's frustrating, it's late, but it's doing what we said it was going to do. And back in 2013, when we said, hey, we want to have 500 by 500 battles, people laughed at us then. You'll never do that. Nobody can do that. Blah, blah, blah. And maintain 30 frames a second, of course, because, Dark Age had a lot of people. But couldn't maintain that frame rate. No game could. So, yeah, we've done that. I have no interest in pushing it, further. None. Zero. All we have to do now is deliver, on the rest of the game because the tech is there. And that's what we're going to be focusing on. And you can see it. You can see it in our updates. They get less and less focused on big tech things and more focused on gameplay things, with some tech ongoing, like, the obviously the nav meshes, because Cube. And that's actually because one of the things that people asked if there was something I would have done differently. I think that was you, Night Healer, in terms of development. I think Cube was a great idea. I think it's going to be a great, add-on. It is a great add-on now. It will be a great game if we decide that we want to monetize it. But man, oh man, the challenges it presents for nav meshing is, is hard. So lots of challenges there. So yeah, that's about it. Look, we're going to keep, doing what we need to do. We're going to keep working hard. You all have seen that we keep making progress, and a lot of progress. You can see it when you go into the game. You can see it in our updates. You can see it, anytime you want if you're an IT backer, if you go on Hatchery. And, we're going to continue to do that because we believe in CU, we believe in Cube, we believe in Ragnarok, and we believe in our engine. And we believe in you backers. Look, you folks have been patient. You folks have been, helpful. You guys continue to be helpful, whether the Builders Brigade, whether the Mod Squad, whether it's just you backers who, were so nice to us when we were, in our studio. You were nice to Lady J when, I had to tell you about her cancer, years ago. And so, we want to do this, and I know it sounds corny, but it's me, so I am, a little bit of corn. I want to do it for you guys, and gals, and we're going to continue to do that. So with that, and as always, on behalf of everyone at CSE, I thank you for your support. I thank you so much. Portentous, love it. We thank you for your support. We thank you for your patience. And I am very happy to say that over the next few weeks and months after that, you'll continue to see just how serious I was when I said a couple months ago that we were committed, to CU, and that, we were going to deliver. And even though we are in Corona world, we are delivering. We've kept that, that promise. So look, again, stay safe, everyone. Stay uninfected if at all possible. And as I've asked you, please be kind if you can to other people during this time. A little extra kindness, whether at home or even on the outside, goes a long way. It is tough. And okay, it hasn't failed. All right, are you happy? Zeromus has said, my attempt to bring naval combat into the stream again has failed. All right, there you go, my friend. I am now talking about naval combat. So happy again. See, I can bring joy to people and not just frustration. So look, again, be safe, stay uninfected, and be kind. Hopefully I'll see some of you, in the IT test, and then I hope to see a lot more of you in the alpha and the beta tests. And, have a great rest of your day and a great weekend. And I will be streaming certainly again next week. And, the real question, the most important question, is how ridiculous my hair is going to look as it continues to do this thing. Will I, might be worth, having a poll on when it gets really bad. Yeah, which hair? Just that one knee right there. Anyway, so again, take care, everybody, and I guarantee you I'll see you soon. Bye.